Greg is an internet
I've never
people.
been on Facebook. I don't know what you call each other. Or is
Friends.
Was it?
That's what, friends. Friends, Joe. Jesus Christ.
I will survive in my five, in my five. I will survive. Yeah, yeah. I will survive in my five, my five. I will survive. Yeah, yeah. I bring the hammer down, a tiny crushing sound, and I'm in the yard. Smash matchbox cars, an itty bitty crash. My machine is trash, but I'm blasting past. With Chicky on the dash, Chicky on the gas. Go, Chicky!
Welcome to Atlas Balked, a weekly chronicle concerning the mundane, weird, and maybe even sometimes dramatic happenings of a simple fantasy baseball league. This podcast captures the thoughts and musings of Greg, Joe, Jack, and Tim, 4 of the 10 owners in the league. Atlas Balked is proud to let you know this episode is brought to you by Chuli's Gum. This is episode 24 entitled, I Don't Believe in Luck, but...
Welcome, Balkers, to episode 24. And today I have 2 happy owners on the call with me. So Jack Swagger, feeling good tonight, huh? Woo!
Doing well. Doing well.
That's beautiful. Good job. Good job. And low key, you got a smile on your face tonight.
I'm doing better than I was this time last week.
You're feeling good, but you're not completely out with a victory right now. So let's start with your game. Again, another close game. This game is not over, and it's not over because of an odd situation. You've got a pitching staff. There are no hitters left on either team. Pitching staff is the only player on our teams that can actually lose points. And they can lose points by throwing more walks than strikeouts, and they can lose points by losing, and they can lose points giving up runs. With a loss, you'd lose a half a point. Right now, you're at 45 to 43. That's a half a point. And so that means that you would be 1.5 points ahead.
Well, you also have the earned run average possible.
But I'm already over the limit for that. I'm at 4.154 right now.
Okay, so that could only improve. So really, it's a strikeout.
Oh, well, then you're talking about 15 walks. And then, yeah, I mean.
Hey, it could happen.
Okay, well, we're not going to push you on that, and we'll let you kind of worry about that. But I'm calling it a win for you. Jack, you agree?
I do.
I'm okay with that.
Okay, so congratulations. Mikey's team is like a cornered Wolverine, fighting hard and super impressive. I mean, he's doing exactly what we say, right? Just get into the playoffs and then have the players that you need to do the damage that you need to do. The last 3 days, I've been checking my phone almost as if I have a team in the tournament. This has been just amazing, the back and forth, and Joe's ahead, then Mikey's ahead, then Joe's ahead, then Mikey's ahead. And I mean, I'm checking at 10 o'clock at night. I'm checking at 1:30, 2 o'clock in the afternoon. I mean, this has been fascinating.
The points are lower this week, but it's actually kind of eerie how the week mirrored last week. One team had a fairly sizable lead for a while. The other team came back and actually went ahead, and then the road team pulls out the win. Very, very strange how that worked out the same way.
I want to point out the fact that Giancarlo Stanton has put your team on his back. He's having an epic, some could say an historic month. And this guy, I mean, he's the original high Q player, and he just is everything you want out of a playoff player. And without him, I mean, even just without your second best player instead of him, we wouldn't even be having this conversation. You'd be completely out of it.
Absolutely. I had a couple of couple more players go on the DL this week, and lost a player to an injury that I'm still not sure whether he's okay or not. He was clearly vital to winning. I mean, he almost put up 11 points. Seems like he homers in every other game, if not every game.
He's been an extra pitching staff for you.
Yeah, just about.
What's it like? I mean, you've only had him on your team for 5 weeks, I think. Is it fun just turning on SportsCenter and seeing him jack ridiculous home runs night after night?
It is. I will admit that. He's a little bit more volatile than Trout was, in that he can have bad games too, but he's on an incredible tear right now, and he has been since I got him. It kind of worries me a little bit, because if he slows down in the next month, or if they decide
and he will
get some little tweak to his hamstring or something, they decide he's the franchise and we're just going to sit him because we don't have a chance, I could be screwed.
Yeah, that's a definite, right? I mean, this game is ridiculous, right? But, what the hell, right? If he's going to help you stay alive and progress in the tournament.
He is striking out a lot less than he normally does. So he may have changed something in his approach that's allowed him to hit more consistently. That only time's going to tell that. But the power is just insane.
I'd be interested to see how many fantasy championships he has won.
At least 4.
Yeah, he's done this before, not to this level though. It seems like this might be the hottest stretch that he's ever had, which is, it's awesome for Joe to have picked him up when he did. But, he will slow down some. But injury is obviously always the concern with him. Outside of that, there's not a hotter bat in baseball right now.
I mean, has anybody ever approached a 60 home run season this quietly? You don't hear anybody talking about that hardly.
Just, because he went from 35 to 50, so late and so quickly is I think the reasoning behind it. Even I followed the guy pretty great. I was like, holy shit, he said 50. Like, it caught me by surprise. Watching him hit one every other day. Still, they add up quick.
Well, the other guy that's doing that for my team is going to be playing this week. So
who's that?
Rhys Hoskins.
Oh yeah,
he's homered in 5 straight games. It's time for him to see some time.
What the fuck is it with these kids, man? Like, it's getting weird, very weird.
It has happened over the course of baseball, but yes, it's definitely happening more often and what seems to be longer. They every now and then 23, 24, they'd be good for a couple weeks maybe.
Right.
I can't remember this many, guys just exploding into the major leagues with 10 home runs this quickly. You know what I mean? It just seems like every other guy that comes in and is supposed to be a home run is at 10 immediately. It's interesting.
Well, yeah, I was looking through my roster because I have some really odd things coming up in this final week of this series, and I have to make some choices. And I was kind of flipping through his stats, and I saw that he had 10 home runs. It seems like he's only been up for 3 weeks.
Right.
That is correct. Yeah. We've been watching your player, Joe, just so you know.
And
I understand why Jack is, because it's his team, but
it's not a surprise. I mean, the fact that he's doing it in majors is this quickly is a little bit of a surprise, obviously. But this is a guy that just has been absolutely destroying baseballs at every level he's played through the minors. It's the other thing is he's got a good eye. He actually takes some walks as well. So I'm looking forward to having him as a Philly, that's for sure.
And we're sure his name is Rhys, not Riss.
Rhys, yeah,
right.
Yep.
Yeah.
Even or not. Yep.
Just want to make sure. Well, congratulations, Joe. Low key with the win, Mikey. I know it's tough to lose, but boy, your team is still in it. And still in it strong. Anything can happen next week. This is
it's a 1-game season.
Oh
man.
My gosh, this is when the pressure really ratchets up. And let's go over to the Jacks Wax Packs and the Omission Commission. This game was close until about Friday, and then Jacks Wax Packs just put up the most points this week. Great weekend, Jack. Obviously, Goldschmidt and Chuck Nasty and Ozuna leading the way. Your Dodgers coming back. Putting up some great points again this week. For Scotty, the Cardinals just not, and that Cardinal staff continues to dog him, and then he just didn't have, with Judge kind of putting up decent numbers, but not the numbers like he was putting up before. He's really starting to fade. I don't know if this is the beginning of the end for him. Maybe you have some opinions on that, but before we get there, congratulations. Great week, and must have felt good to come back, having put up the least amount of points last week.
It definitely did. I appreciate it. The Dodgers did what they've been doing, put a little extra on it, almost a 13 for the week. So again, I've been leaning on them hard all year, and I'll lean on them through the playoffs again. Ozuna was the Marlins. He's following Stanton's lead on 9. So between the two of them, almost 20 points to lead me and Joe in a very important time. Yeah, some of the old guys. I mean, I again, some letdowns. Batista with a 1.2. Murphy's hurting me. That guy's somebody I've been depending on over the years. So hopefully he gets his stick back with this next week here. But yeah, I was pretty happy overall. Again, Goldschmidt and old Chuck Nasty. Again, a couple of these other guys get their swing together, and we're playing for a bobblehead.
I noticed after giving you a hard time about taking the points lead away from you, you immediately came back and took it over again.
Oh, I become very game focused once the playoffs start. I don't pay attention to that. So I do during the season, during the regular season. Once the playoffs start, I like I said, I started looking over at your game around Friday. Other than that, I'm pretty much focused on mine and his lineup. That's about it.
Understood.
Well, apparently when Greg isn't in the playoffs, he just checks out completely since he hasn't
shuts it down.
Yeah, right. I mean, I know his season was bad, but he doesn't have to really run that bad. Trying to tell us that family's more important than being on Atlas Balked. I mean, I'm sorry, Balkers, but Greg clearly doesn't have his priorities in order.
No, not at all. Not at all.
Nope. I don't know if we should even let him back on.
My question is, had he made the playoffs, would he have missed 2 postseason Atlas Balked in a row?
No. No.
We'll probably never know.
Oh, wow, Joe.
Ouch.
Throwing some shade. That was rough. Woo. Yeah, anyway, congratulations. So, Jack's Wax Packs, Reardon Metal, you guys live another day. Next week is going to be fucking amazing. Big week.
Point and a half.
Yes.
Epic.
Yes, your point and a half. I have to wait till Monday to put your point and a half on there, but I'll make sure that I do it early. Best of luck to you.
Although, has the home team actually won a game in either of these series? No, because we both won on the road. We both lost at home. I'm trying to curse myself and hoping it'll go. Across the way.
I got Blackman in Colorado for 6. So
Chuck Nasty, I love it.
I've got Stanton wherever the hell he's playing.
Yeah.
Houston. He goes to Houston.
Oh,
just kidding. I have no fucking idea.
No, he's not in Houston. He's playing the Phillies, and he's playing.
Yeah, Joe acts like he doesn't know. You know that shit was mapped out 4 days ago.
I just know he's not playing in Texas. I've already looked at everybody that's playing in Texas this week.
All right, gentlemen. Well, listen, Mikey, Scotty, congratulations on still being in the playoffs. It all comes down to next week. You win, you're in the World Series, and remember, this is the largest kitty in the history of the league. Not only does it mean something in terms of bragging rights, which to me is worth way more, it also does put some money in your pocket, which is always nice. So let's go refresh our drinks and come back and talk about a few things that are happening in baseball.
Buy cigarettes from a dude named Dante when instead you could be on a date with a girl named Julie? Don't smoke cigs. Chew Chulies.
When you're on a golden sea, you don't need no...
Welcome back, Balkers. And I have a question for Swag and for Low Key. You guys have any rituals to ease the feeling of helplessness when it comes to how well your team is doing or not doing in the playoffs? I mean, this is at its core. You set your lineup and that's it, and the dice have left your hand, and they're tumbling down towards the final resting place. What do you do? How do you deal with that nervous energy? Do you have superstitions? Do you get drunk every night? What is it? How do you deal with it?
I do. I do have some superstitions I'll play with when playoff. It's much different in the playoffs. All of a sudden, everything becomes a little more serious.
Yeah, I miss it.
Much like the bout of religion a man will get as he falls over a cliff. All of a sudden, you're open to a whole lot more possibility. I don't believe in luck, but just in case it exists, let's cover our ass. So I will not watch the other team's players bat in any way, shape, or form. So if I'm on the app and their guys are up to bat, it says they're at bat, I'll close the app. I just won't watch their guys bat. If I'm watching MLB and they pull one of their guys up, I'll literally change the channel or just look away. So I will watch my guys bat unless if my guys just have some torrid tear in a situation where I was not able to watch them at the beginning of the week,
right?
Then I'll just throw it all out the window and go with don't watch them until they stop their tear. So yeah, I do.
That is awesome.
So, yeah,
you are human.
I am. Yeah, those are like I said. A whole lot more in the playoffs. Regular season, I don't give a fuck. But the
right, when you light the rest of the league on fire, it doesn't really matter, does it? You fucker. That is awesome.
So yeah, I have not watched Aaron Judge bat in the last 2 weeks.
That's funny because mine is the exact opposite of yours. I will not watch my players bat. If I see them in the hole, I know to shut the screen down, walk away from it for 10 minutes, and then I'll come back and see if they did anything. But I'll sit there and stare at the stupid computer screen with the little dots representing guys on base of his team until they're out.
Nice.
And I did not. Actually, today I got up, it was close, and I just didn't look at it all day until about maybe 6 or 7 o'clock. It's like, all right, I got to know. And then I'm looking at it, and it's still freaking close, and I know I've got another couple of at-bats, and so does he.
I only look at my phone 40 to 45 times on a Sunday. I'm checking the scores.
I did that today. I mean, I really am getting caught up in this playoffs race. I mean, it is fun. It's exciting. There isn't any one team that is a wrecking ball kind of taking out the other teams. It's pretty cool.
Now, yesterday I was a total wreck. I looked at it a million times yesterday, but once today came around, it was like, all right, I can't worry about it. I can't control it. So what's the difference? Why were you a wreck yesterday? Because I just wanted to make sure I didn't miss some sort of injury or something. I've got this whole mysterious Moustakis thing going on, sitting there watching the weather and thinking, okay, I've got like 4 different players involving Texas in some form or another next week, trying to think, what trying to find information. Nobody's made any statements yet about whether they're going to cancel games or whether they're going to, because both Texas and Houston come home next week. They were on the road this week, so no notices about canceling games yet. So I'm worried about that, thinking, okay, well, if I put this guy in and he only plays 3 games, I could put this lesser guy in, but he might have 6 games. Is that better?
Holy shit!
Joe's having
flashbacks to the Benigno series.
Yeah, PTSD with hurricanes and fantasy playoffs.
It's already cost me once.
Holy shit! I did not even think about that.
Well, and from there, where does it go up through the Midwest like it did that one year? Cancel games in Kansas City and St. Louis and Milwaukee and places like that.
Well,
or does it swing back east and the mountains will stop it. It'll steer it back.
Not Milwaukee, but because it's a covered stadium. But
well, good point.
But Seattle,
Chicago,
Seattle. Jesus Christ. St. Louis and
Seattle's
Kansas.
safe.
I think Seattle's safe. I think they can handle a little rain. Yes, I think they can handle a lot of rain. But St. Louis and Kansas.
Or does it go
Be
east and end up in D.C. and Baltimore and places like that?
Oh, my God.
No?
Joe, you're fucked.
It could be. You never know.
Start your Blue Jays, ladies and gentlemen.
If it goes to the Northeast or Mid-Atlantic, Joe, you're in big trouble.
You know what? It could happen.
So I wanted to inform the two of you and all of Balked Nation, Chris, who has been on the podcast a couple of times. We can't just seem to get his audio right, but let me tell you, this guy has been great for the league. I mean, I think in one of his interviews he talked about 20 years ago when he would have to go to the library to get copies of the newspaper to actually tabulate the scores. Chris has been, as far as an original six member, obviously has done his part. He has accepted the role of inside counsel. He is our inside counsel. He is able to provide context, legal rulings, and feedback on particular moves that maybe aren't covered within the rules or questions that involve current rules that might be a little twisted or strange. And then also just any clear rule that is out there. He's been great about being on top of it. So this is a paid position, and I think a well-deserved position. And I'm happy that Chris accepted because he's a valuable part of the league.
Agreed. Yeah, they're over the years. Again, you, myself, Mike, all of us have gone, back and forth with a question here. Hey, what happens here? Do you remember this?
Mm-hmm.
But it seems like between the three of us, all or one or all of us will end up falling back to Chris at some
Yep.
point. Sometimes to other folks' dismay, he can be a fucking elephant with information. So he tends to remember the details, and that is very valuable. So he's been doing it. He's been that role, whether it's been recognized or observed in the past and even this past season. But yeah, that's awesome that he's being recognized for it.
Instead of inside counsel, can we call him the unwritten rules czar?
Yes. Unwritten rules are?
Yeah.
All right.
Sounds more dangerous, more powerful.
Well, he does more than the unwritten rules, though. He does provide feedback and counsel on current rules. So maybe just rules czar?
We'll call him the arbiter of all that is seen and unseen.
Arbiter
That's not bad.
of all that is seen or unseen.
It's
And
tough to fit it on a business card, but
but it's freaking impressive.
it is impressive. That should get you laid at least 2-3 times.
I think it's great. So one of the things I noticed the other night, I was watching Cubs game, and it looked like a softball game. Chris Bryant was a fourth outfielder. I think I have to just accept the fact that baseball is moving forward. More and more players are less and less specialized. And I notice this on a micro level, just as the commissioner of our league. I have to physically go in and make the changes to people's roster if they want to make a change. So if there's an injury substitution, I have to go in and change the stats, or actually change the players, and to make sure that their stats will start accruing going forward. What I started to notice was a lot of players have multiple position eligibility. Now, every single player in our league has at least two positions. It's their current position and DH. Well, that's not true. I guess if someone's a pure DH, they're only a DH. But for the most part, every player can play their position, and they can add to that DH unless they're already DH. And what I started to notice was more and more players have multiple position eligibility. So even first base with outfield, third base, I've seen it with third base and shortstop, third base and second base, third base and outfield. It's really surprising to me that we're starting to see, at least on the infield side, this kind of blending of position players. Part of it is Joe Madden's setup of these goofy things, right?
Yeah, a lot of it stems from the Cubs. Not all of it, but a lot of it.
A lot of it, right? And what we're seeing, though, is that those adjustments now are starting to take place with other players. It's creating issues with people who like to score games, if the third baseman is brought over to play short outfield behind the second baseman, and it's a pop-up to that player, right? How do you score it, right? Because a pop-up to the third base in the scorebook, the image that comes to mind is very different than what actually happened.
True.
You know, we talked about younger kids being eligible at multiple positions to get their bats into the lineups to be able to be called up and not blocked behind other players. So there's an incentive for teams to get players that can play multiple positions, because if they have a great offensive profile, they're not blocked behind a particular player, for example. But this really seems to be changing in baseball, and it got me thinking about juiceless as well. I mean, have you guys seen the same thing? Have you seen this happening?
Yeah. It's like I said, I don't think there's a guy on the Cubs roster that plays one position.
Right.
I think I have, Baez plays, middle infield, both middle infield spots and third base. But yeah, and you've always had a couple of guys, but they were known for it and specialized. Ben Zobrist stood alone because he did play those multiple positions and was fantasy worthy. Most of the time when you got guys that play multiple positions, a lot of them aren't fantasy or weren't fantasy worthy in the past. But a lot of first base outfield, you're seeing that a lot.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Jose Batista back at third base. They had Donaldson at shortstop for a little bit. Again, the Cubs constantly got moving guys out. You got Rizzo at second base now. So it is happening more and more. We've always separated positions. We've always wanted to make it fun and fair for everyone. So even to the point where we adopted 2 middle infielders as opposed to forcing a shortstop and a second baseman on everyone. You kind of get to choose because it was kind of a weaker position when we developed the league. So it is definitely something that could affect it. Again, Jose Batista isn't good enough anymore to take advantage of the fact that he can play third base. But in his heyday, all of a sudden he pops up at third base and becomes a lot more valuable if you have the guys to use it at first base. Rizzo at the middle infield spot is generally going to be of value to you.
Mm-hmm.
The only other thing is some of these guys, like I said, they're going to do a Matt Carpenter. He's going to have that position eligibility throughout the year. When you get it surprise kind of thrown at you like Rizzo this year, if you're not prepared for it, we've seen it with Mike's team. If you don't have the stockpile at first base to take advantage of it, then it doesn't really fucking matter. And at that point, you end up using the guy at the original position anyway. Again, much like Batista, he's just not good enough to supplant Longoria or even Baez at third base anymore. So
yeah, and that's nothing new because every year I've had some player like that where I can plug into multiple positions. I've always taken advantage of that for my backups, but it definitely seems like there's more of it. I mean, you look at my team, I've got Marwin Gonzalez. He's eligible at everything in the infield except for catcher and pitcher, and he's eligible in the outfield. So literally one guy who's having a good year, I can use him as an emergency for any position. And maybe it keeps me from carrying, and maybe I can carry an extra position player at something else where I have, somebody that's relatively injury prone. I've got that position covered twice over because I've got this guy that can play it too.
Mm-hmm.
So it's I think it's just another thing to be exploited by a smart owner. You pay attention to that stuff, you can creatively stack your team.
What's interesting about the game of baseball, I think one of the things that we've talked about in previous episodes is baseball as a dying sport. Or I know for me personally, I've talked a lot about, this used to be the national pastime, but now it's been overtaken by football, by basketball, these more violent, quicker moving sports. However, I'm as I've paid such close attention this year to both fantasy baseball and actual baseball, and chronicling it as we have for almost half a year now. I'm going to throw this out there, and you guys can laugh at me, or you can tell me that I'm an idiot. But I actually think that baseball truly is continuing to be the national pastime, and that they're embracing things like big data and embracing change, and what seems to me to be rapid change. And I look at some of these other sports, and I'm not seeing that change necessarily happen as fast. I'm not seeing, I mean, quite frankly, in the NFL, over the last 15 to 18 years, the only difference is now we have running backs by committee as opposed to running backs, and we have a pass-heavy offense. That's really what I'm seeing. But it seems like baseball, with the strategy over the last 5 or 6 years, the introduction of, this combination of scouting and statistics, and, these kids coming up that are just more physically able, more physically gifted to play multiple positions, to have their swing approach where they do have more of put more of a backspin on the ball and get more distance and loft off these things, that maybe baseball really is, more truly representative of this country than the other sports. And I just wasn't aware enough to recognize that.
I think football has got a rocky road ahead at some point. I don't know how long that takes, because clearly they're the big dog in terms of money, and where there's money, there's litigation. People are going to continue to come after them. We could argue whether hockey or football is more violent, but football's more popular than hockey. So let's call football the most violent of the sports. They're going to come under increasing pressure, and you're going to see it in the next collective bargaining agreement. The players are going to demand the moon to cover these players that have given their health to the sport. They are, in my opinion, they're oversaturated. I mean, I'm not going to watch football 4 days a week. I just can't do it. I can't stay up that late. I have to go to a job. I can't watch Monday Night Football anymore. I can't watch Sunday Night Football. I don't want to watch Thursday Night Football because it's always a shitty game.
But pretty colors.
No,
I do like the unis. Yeah,
I hate the unitards. Come on, they're ugly as hell. All right, but the thing football has going for it is a kid can watch a game on Sunday and see his favorite player most of the time, so he develops a relationship with that team. Basketball, you talk about baseball as a regional sport. That's the knock against it from a lot of people. I would say basketball has become an urban sport. I'm a Celtics fan. I grew up watching them, but I can't relate to the game anymore. I would rather watch a college basketball game of anybody, not just my favorite team, than watch a professional game. I'll watch it if the Celtics are in the playoffs. Otherwise, I don't give a damn anymore. Baseball, I kind of wish they would shrink the season down a little bit. I wish they would cut it back to 154. I actually like the second wild card. There are a massive number of teams that still care right now. I see the light with that. I didn't like it when it first came in. It just seemed like a money grab, but it seems to me that was the best move. But I'm afraid that they're going to say, oh, well, we got one wild card. Why not have two more, and then we're the NBA or the NFL. So I don't know. To your point, I think football is still the national game right now. And I think baseball has tried really hard to cut its own throat, but maybe we're going to survive it.
But the fact that baseball and the competitive drive and the willingness to kind of adapt and adjust and change, right. To me, it seems like the game is morphing, and it's morphing more quickly than I can keep up with right now.
Right. Yeah, I agree. They seem to, I think we talked about it a few episodes back, but they seem to be very on the cup right now. They're and what they're doing really and it started with Sports Center. We talked about the going gone back in the day, and now they're consolidating it in the game, within the game now. Is they're adapting it to to appease our shortened attention span.
Right.
So now you're getting again, as you're watching, like I said, MLB TV, they'll go from game to game and show that. Well, now they're getting the tweets where you tweet in the pitcher versus batter that you want to see. So now they're focusing on that at bat. Now all of a sudden within the game, and again, yes, it's still a 3-hour game that has 5 minutes of actual action, so on and so forth. But they're fine tuning the not that there's hadn't always been highlights, but that it seems like they're focusing a little bit more on those one-on-one matchups on those specific guys, and they're doing a really good job of sensationalizing what should be sensationalized, and in a way that it seems like it's getting through. Again, a lot of the folks that are on the outside still say the same thing. You still hear a lot of, baseball's dying, and it's it is a dying breed. It's not. But if you're paying attention, like you said, I think they're doing a hell of a job with it right now. And thankfully there's some guys player wise that are helping it along. We got our Sammy Sosas and our Mark McGuires of today as well. And the fact that they're younger and younger as they come up, I think that lends itself again to being able to attach the game to a younger generation. That's helpful as well.
Well, I think they're definitely doing a way better job of presenting it, like you said, the MLB network and so forth. You're talking to somebody that when I was a kid, there was no such thing as ESPN. I waited till every Sunday to watch This Week in Baseball with Mel Allen. and that was the only highlights you ever saw, except for your local team on the evening news. And that was it.
You little grumpy son of a bitch.
Yeah, I'm saying that
he's only 4 years older than us. Like people might think that he's but
I remember This Week in Baseball too.
All right.
Well, I certainly do.
I mean, your emotional age, Joe, is probably 20 years older, but your physical age, you're only like 4 years older than us. It's not.
I feel like I'm about 16 most days. So
we talk about the kids at the game with their face in the phones, but Major League Baseball, rather than trying to change the kids into, what we want them, they're saying, okay, we're gonna provide the content in that form. And figure out how to communicate to that generation. And to me, once I kind of had this mind shift in my mind, I started to see, and I thought, Jesus, there's some really smart people in the major leagues, both on the baseball operations side and also on the marketing and production side that are doing some phenomenal things. Would I like them to sign Atlas Balked as their official podcast? Fuck yeah, I would.
Yeah.
I love watching Aaron Judge and put up his sub 200 batting average for the last 2 months.
Me too.
I am so happy. I mean, I'm sure by all accounts he seems like a great human being, but fuck him and me trading him away for nothing before the season started. Yes, Jack, right? He's not doing much against you. The Yankees, I knew the Red Sox saw something and read a great article, and they were talking about Aaron Judge and how teams are pitching him and what they're doing to adjust and how much he's struggling with it. And the fact that baseball is a brutal sport. I mean, it wears you down through time, the number of games, through psychology, right? The length of the games, the amount of time you spend preparing, playing, and then recuperating from the games, that every person on that field is trying to adjust to what you've done. And you have to adjust back. We talked about, conversation last week with a former major leaguer. This game is fucking brutal. And if you're not a competitor, you're just not going to make it, period.
Well, you get extra credit because you were the first person I ever heard call that out about the Red Sox and their adjustment to Judge. I'm kind of curious what you think he actually is. 5 years from now, is he, I don't know, Adam Lind or somebody like that? Is he better than that? Does he ever hit for any kind of average long term?
I've read that once you show a skill, you own that skill, right? So he has shown that not only does he have prodigious power, but he also has a batting eye and the ability to make contact. I don't think he's a plus 300 hitter just because the size of his strike zone and that how now early in the season they were going east-west. Now they're going north-south, which there's a lot more opportunity. Jack talked, I think it was in episode 15, he talked about Judge reaching across the plate on a pitch that was clearly outside and knocking it out of the park. Well, so teams have abandoned that, and the Red Sox were going north-south with him earlier than the other teams, and that's where he's got more place to cover. And if you talk about, the distance from, his chest to his knees and the amount of opportunity a pitch has to move within that space, to me, I think maybe a 260, 270 hitter with 40 bombs a year, which is Giancarlo Stanton. I mean,
yeah.
And with your up year, maybe approaching what he's doing this year, what your typical average year is a Giancarlo Stanton, which, frankly, was a staple of my lineup for many years.
I was gonna say that doesn't suck.
Does not suck. No, in a fucking ballpark he's going to get 5 or 6 extra just because he's playing in essentially what is a little league ballpark, as opposed to Stanton, who's actually playing in a big boy park.
Yeah.
Well, plus he gets to play in Fenway and Baltimore as well.
Well, playing in Fenway clearly wasn't a positive thing for him. And, the reason that I knew the Sox were picking up on something is, I watch a lot of their games. I said, I have the package. And we have
Quit your bragging.
We have a team that, has a coach, was a pitching coach, and we have a pitching staff that can fully execute. And where I really first started to see it was Chris Sale and the way Chris Sale pitched him, because Chris Sale is known for never shaking off a pitch. I don't know if you know this or not, but Chris Sale does not shake a pitch. He's never in his career told the catcher he is not going to throw what the catcher tells him to throw. And so what that means is you have a highly skilled pitcher who is pitching to a catcher who is very well prepped. And this goes back even before Veritek, but Veritek, I think, really kind of institutionalized that for the Red Sox, and he's still part of the team. So he pitches to the location, the type of pitch and to the location, and he's having a ridiculously good year. And I think that just goes to the organization and what the organization has done over the years and the amount of money they've put into pitching so that they can execute against these other teams like the Yankees, which are, a hell of an offensive team, and still only 4 games behind the Sox. I mean, it's not like the Sox have buried them.
Right, yeah. No, it's still a tight race.
Well, gentlemen, this has been fun. I think it's a natural ending point for us. We could probably talk about 8 or 10 other things, but I think for Balked Nation, I think what they're interested in is what the hell happens next week. So I'm excited for you, Jack, and for you, Joe, and for Mikey, and for Scotty. And I know I'll be looking at my phone quite a bit. I don't have as much discipline as Joseph does. I'll be checking it out. But best of luck to the 4 of you. Best of luck to you, Jack, to you, Joe. Hope you guys do really well. And this is it. This is for a chance to, go to the big, big dance. So hope you guys have a great night. This is always fun. And we'll talk to you next week.
All right. Well, hopefully I can figure out what Major League Baseball is going to do about the state of Texas before I set my lineup in the morning at 5.
Good luck with that. Good luck this week, Joe. Hopefully we'll keep the dream alive, big guy.
Scotty and Mike and Jack, I wish you the best of luck, and I still want to win.
All right, boys. Just a quick update, Joe. You're still in the lead, so looking good, buddy.
Yep.
All right.
I feel comfortable calling it. I may spontaneously.
If he loses, we'll come back.
Yeah, right. No shit.
We'll get instant reaction.
We'll just redo it. Yeah. We'll just Here, let's record now in case.
Oh my God! I can't believe they did that.
What a big
47
comeback.
walks in 1 inning. Oh
That
my
sucks.
God, Mike, that was awesome. You did great, buddy.
Yep. Go to bed, Joe. See you next year.
All right.
Oh, good night, boys. Talk to you later.
All right.
Reluctantly crouched at the starting line, Engines pumping and thumping in time. The green light flashes, the flags go up. Churning and burning, they yearn for the cup. They deftly maneuver and muscle for rank. Fuel burning fast on an empty tank. Reckless and wild, they pour through the turns. Their prowess is potent and secretly stern. As they speed through the finish, the flags go down. The fans get up and they get out of town. The arena is empty, except for one man still driving and striving as fast as he can. The sun has gone down and the moon has come up. And long ago somebody left with the cup. But he's driving and striving and hugging the turns and thinking of someone for whom he still burns. He's going the distance. He's going for speed. She's all alone in a time of need. Because he's racing and pacing and plotting the course. He's fighting and fighting and riding on his horse. He's going the distance. Yeah! No trophy, no flowers, no flashbulbs, no wine. He's haunted by something he cannot define. Bowel-shaking earthquakes of doubt and remorse assail him, impale him with monster truck force. In his mind, he's still driving, still making the grade. She's hoping in time that her memories will fade. Cause he's racing and pacing and plotting the course. He's fighting and fighting and riding on his horse. The sun has gone down and the moon has come up. And long ago somebody left with the cup. But he's striving and driving and hugging the turns and thinking of someone for whom he still burns. Cause he's going the distance. He's going for speed. She's all alone in a time of need. Because he's racing and pacing and plotting the course. He's fighting and fighting and riding on his horse. He's racing and pacing and plotting the course. He's fighting and fighting and riding on his horse. He's going the distance. He's going for speed. He's going the distance.
All reality is a game.
The future remains malleable. The future remains malleable.
The future remains malleable.
Physics, at its most fundamental, the very fabric of our universe, results directly from the interaction of certain fairly simple rules and chance. The same description may be applied to the best, most elegant, and both intellectually and aesthetically satisfying games. By being unknowable, by resulting from events which, at a subatomic level, cannot be fully predicted, and retains the possibility of change. hope of coming to prevail. Victory, to use an unfashionable word. In this, the future is a game. Time is one of the rules. Generally, all the best mechanistic games, those which can be played in any sense perfectly, such as grid, Krelian scope, and cradle, chess, Farnic dimensions, can be traced to civilizations lacking a relativistic view of the universe, let alone the reality. They are also, I might add, invariably pre-machine sentient societies. The very first ranked games acknowledge the element of chance, even if they rightly restrict raw luck. To attempt to construct a game on any other lines, no matter how complicated and subtle the rules are, and regardless of the scale and differentiation of the playing volume and the variety of powers and attributes of the pieces, is inevitably to shackle oneself to a conspectus which is not merely socially, but techno-philosophically lagging with several ages behind our own. As a historical exercise, it might have some value. As a work of the intellect, it's just a waste of time.
Time.